Is there a version of Rick that says, I love wearing shorts? I'm just going to actually play this game the whole time during the podcast, so.
You know, I've got to say, and maybe it's just me, I'm looking at this ad here on AP, and it's like the weirdest tagline for a school. The hardest thing you'll ever love. The Art Institute of California in Hollywood. That just doesn't.
That's what she said. Is what I'm getting.
Yeah.
That was. I mean, they directly ripped that off of some like major advertising campaign.
I'm sure they did. I mean,
Yeah.
it's from Los Angeles, so it's it's probably ripped off somebody at some point.
So it'd be cool if the chat would load for me. That would be pretty nice.
That sounds like you're asking a lot of the chat there.
E-score.
Need to lay off the chat.
That was an advertisement for the Peace Corps starting in 1961.
Oh my god.
It sounded familiar.
They reached deep into the archives.
I was thinking it was WWF, but apparently, which works for both.
That's the
instances of
fakest thing I've
WWF.
ever loved.
Oh, there's the chat. Chat. I don't have a lower third.
Okay, yeah, it's not. The chat's not connecting for me either, which is super good.
Super good.
Super good. I have to change my lower third because I'm not using Safari tonight.
Oh no.
Though I usually am.
Why aren't you using Safari?
Because I clicked the link from inside the Hangouts message and it just opened Chrome, so I just went with it. The Hangouts extension is really annoying, by the
The
way.
Hangouts extension is a piece of shit on Windows as well. I hate the Hangouts extension.
It
so
steals
much.
focus from Chrome all the time, and the fact that it like pops up over everything makes me instantly hate whatever message is coming in.
My favorite part is that in Windows 10, because of DPI issues, the Hangouts widget cannot go all the way down to where it meets the taskbar. It's like a centimeter above
Oh
it,
my God.
and that's as low as it will go. And it makes me spaz a lot. So
That
much
is
so that I
terrible.
enabled auto hide the taskbar so that it would go all the way down to the bottom of the screen. And I hate
Wow.
auto hide the taskbar.
I hate auto hide taskbar too.
I hate it too.
That's the bane of every person who's ever had to fix a Windows computer in their life. People who enable auto hide the taskbar.
What kind of people are they? Can we characterize them?
I don't think
People
we
who
can
auto
actually
hide
call
the
them. I don't
taskbar.
think we can actually call them people. Is the problem?
Okay, the chat loaded for me, so that's good.
The chat loaded, but it has not said hi back to me. So that's kind of offensive.
Fine, I'll say hi to the chat.
Do emojis work in the chat?
Oh wait, it said that's an unknown command. Wait, is it broken? Yeah, I'm just getting unknown command for everything I enter.
Hmm.
Is it an emoji?
Oh wait, because I was putting in the console. Oops. Okay, let me socialize us. All right, we are socialized.
We are socialized.
We can now interact with other dogs.
That's what that means.
Let me just look at the spreadsheet here.
Yeah, where is everybody? Don't they know we have a podcast tonight?
Well, we had one Friday last week, so maybe we scared everybody away. Or maybe nobody can connect to the chat.
I know I can't.
Okay, we are... Well, let me stop the recording and then restart it because it's already been recording for like 5 minutes. Okay, we are recording and the waveform looks not Dell Maxified.
Oh, darn it!
Yeah, that's good.
Can we do that thing you said to it? That thing you're talking about?
Maxify it.
Can we maxify the Dell form of the wave?
The Dell form of the wave, yes.
Yes.
All right,
You want to do the free roll?
Okay. This week's Android Police podcast is brought to you by Linode. If you want a web hosting solution, head to linode.com/AndroidPolice and you'll get a free $20 credit, good for up to 2 months of Linode service.
Welcome to the Android Police Podcast, your weekly audio source for all things Android. It is Thursday, January 14th, 2016. I'm your host, Matthew Smith.
I'm David Reddick.
I'm Liam Spradlin.
I'm Ryan Whitwam.
So, we've got some Google I/O news starting off the show this week. So that's good. Unfortunately, it's not very substantial. It's just a venue and a date. So at least we can narrow that down. If you're planning on going out to California for Google I/O, well, you're planning too far in advance because you don't even know if you're going to get a ticket. But you're going to be going somewhere else. So they're moving it back to Mountain View this year, which I don't know. It's been how long's it been at the Moscone Center? It's been 9 years?
I don't know.
10 years,
But-
I think.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess they said that it's been a decade since they've done it at Shoreline, and that was the original I/O.
Oh, so they. Oh, okay. So this is like a return to.
Did they say
Yeah.
it's been literally a decade?
I think I don't know. I assumed Arpachai said I think he said a decade, or maybe he said 10 years. I don't know. It was he said 10 years, so I assume it's actually been that number of years.
That sounds logical.
Definitely an interesting venue for a tech convention.
Yeah,
sort of
it's an
thing.
outdoor thing.
Is anybody else getting a huge, ostentatious tent to set up outside the amphitheater, or is it just me?
I don't know, but I hear Fish is going to open for them.
I'm just saying, there's going to be a chandelier. My tent will have a wood floor.
So like, so the amphitheater, it seats like 15,000 people or something, doesn't it?
Yeah, it seats a lot of people. It is a big amphitheater.
So that's significantly larger than the places they've done the keynotes before.
22,500.
I mean, obviously they're not going to use that amphitheater for like all of the little, like developer breakout sessions.
No, actually, Google I/O is just going to be a never-ending set of people on stage switching between keynotes and talks. And all the talks will be going on at the same time. So you will sit on the left side of the stage if you want the left side's talk, in the middle if you want
But
the talk on the right.
they'll make an app that you install on your phone, and you select the audio that you want to hear from the stage, and then you just put your earbuds in, and you only hear the people up there that you want to hear.
Wow, that actually sounds kind of cool, because then you could like walk away and go get
Yeah.
food.
So Google, if you're not doing that, you should do that now. I
Yeah.
give you.
And what would be even better if they just had one group of people up on stage that are just mouthing the word watermelon over and over again.
You can switch over to the watermelon channel.
So you switch to an audio feed, and you just assume that that person on stage is saying it.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Though they just get really attractive people up there to like move their mouths, so you think like, wow, everybody at Google's really great looking.
That's right. Gesticulate and mouth watermelon.
So I'm gonna guess it's gonna be a lot of tents.
Yeah. Or there are like places around there they can have like indoor sessions, right? Like
I mean, I guess.
an area devoid of buildings.
100% outdoor sessions.
Well, yeah, they have all the vendor facilities there, so they'll just be having like in a stinky vendor kitchen.
I want like little small like 10 by 10 booths where you would normally go to like play a game or buy a jar of artisanal honey, but instead they're giving like actual talks. You have to like gather around.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the area, there really actually aren't too many buildings around there. Google has a building right across the street, though, so there's that. I'm going to guess, I would not be surprised if you will have to take a little shuttle bus to get to some stuff.
And it's going to be 3 days again this year instead of 2, like it's been. I know it was last year. I don't know if the year before that if it was 2 as well.
Yeah.
But
Google Building 2081 is right across the street, apparently. So that's there. There's also, of course, a ginormous parking lot area or areas that they can put tents and such. So I'm sure they'll do that as well. But I would hope the keynote is actually on the amphitheater stage.
I would imagine.
one would assume.
I hope they're wearing theatrical masks.
The entirety of Google I/O acted out is a 5-set Greek drama.
Yes.
Or a kabuki play. That would probably
Who would be in the chorus? This
don't
is
know.
important. This needs answers.
If it was the Hangouts team, they would all be out of tune.
Oh my god.
I'm just hoping like John Tesh is there playing background music through the keynote or something. That'd be fitting. All right, so moving on, we've got some pretty cool news, just hot off the presses about Play Store, a promo code option that I think.
Roboting.
Oh boy. Hold on.
We should have Matt change his lower third to read Robot Matt Smith.
Robot. Is it Robot-y still?
Oh, I'm going to check this. So there's a little bit of late breaking news here that was just posted in the chat room, and I want to see if it's, well, it's not showing up on my phone. But apparently some people are seeing this. If you open Android Pay, there's this Tap 10 offer. So if you pay with Android Pay 10 times before February 29th, you'll get a free Chromecast.
I feel like I've already done that.
Well, you had to, start earlier, obviously, or past now. I mean, so this is like starting today.
Starting today.
Okay.
I had not noticed this, but it doesn't show up on my Nexus 6P when I open the Android
It
Pay
doesn't
app.
show up for me either.
Interesting.
I don't see anything on my phone either.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was.
Can you guys hear me now?
That was anticlimactic.
I
Yes.
can hear you, Matt.
Yes.
Okay. Good.
Okay. Back to what we were doing before.
Yeah.
Back to what we were doing. We were talking about promo codes. So the ability to issue promo codes for Play Store listings for developers is now live. Obviously, it's something folks have been asking for a long time, but it sounds like there might be some kind of caveats to how it works. It's not really all purposes. You can't blast them out or.
Yeah. So the developer console now has the option to generate promo codes. We don't know if it's like completely live, if you'll actually get the codes yet, or if they're just staging everything. But there's a new help page in the Google Dev stuff that explains it all. So you can make developers will be able to make up to 500 codes per quarter, and that's like for the an actual paid app or game or in-app content, 500 total. And you can set like promotional deadlines. You can like have them expire. They can be good. They can be good for up to a year. And as far as we're aware, they're one-time use codes. So it's not like you can have one code that like 1,000 people can use. So thus far, I don't think anybody has actually like confirmed that it works right now. We don't have any paid apps in our test stuff to verify, but we've asked Google, if there are any other things that need to happen for this to actually work. But it appears that they're finally actually doing this. I have no idea why it took them so long, because people have been clamoring for this for ages.
I mean, I see why. Clearly, this is not like a mass market sort of promo code situation. It's a I need to give some people some stuff, or like a
this is like for
promo code,
like giveaways or like review stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like what iOS has had for years. I mean, like iOS limits it to 100 codes total per app version. So I mean, in some ways this is less restrictive, but in some ways, I don't know, maybe more. Depends how many versions of an app you could put out on iOS. But I mean, it's certainly better than nothing. Like there's now actually a way to get an app or a game free, if it's a paid thing. Because I mean, on Android, you can't take something that's paid and make it free and then move it back to paid. If you make it free, it's free forever. That's always been the limit. So now there's at least this option.
Yeah. You can't make paid things free, because that's iOS giving.
So before the show, we were talking about how I had done like test in-app purchases before that didn't actually charge anything, and it turns out that's because I'm on the testers list, and the license resets itself every 60 seconds. So like it's not real.
Well, there you go.
The virtual license.
Yeah.
A virtual license to shill.
Virtual license to chill.
Could be that too. It's kind of a cool feature. I mean, it's actually mostly cool for us because when a developer's like, "Oh, you should review our app or game, which has in-app purchases or has cost money," and they're like, "That's great, but we're not going to pay $5 to test something." They can be like, "Oh, here's a code."
Yeah. The alternative is like the awkward side-loading thing that some developers do, and like some apps they require additional content downloads, and it's just a mess because it's not like coming through the Google servers, so it's bad.
And it's better, I mean, it doesn't feel great to put out APKs into the world for people to sideload that are like unlocked, and then like that person can't receive updates and still have things be unlocked. So this is good.
Yes, it is. It's very good for us, and kind of good for everybody else.
So, does Humble Bundle still work where you have to download everything outside of the Play Store, or do they have a solution for that?
It's still sideload, I think, right? Yes.
Yeah, they have their sideload app that then downloads the games.
Yeah, they pulled that app from the Play Store because of the update to the developer agreement last year, I think, or the year before, maybe.
I don't understand how it was ever there because it was a content hub thing.
Well, the distinction was before the developer agreement only banned things that were primarily app distribution channels, like app stores, and then they changed the language to anything that distributes apps because Amazon put their app store in the shopping app, and Google didn't like that. So and that was apparently brought to Humble Bundle.
So if that app wasn't primarily an app distribution program, then what was it primarily?
Well, it was a way. Well, it gave you access to things that you already had, right? It didn't actually have their store in it.
Gotcha.
But I guess they felt like it was close enough to to what Google had changed the language that they didn't want to leave it there.
All right. Well, sounds good. But I guess the point I was trying to get at was it's not like Humble Bundle could just start giving you promo codes because they would burn through 500.
Yeah. No. Yeah. You couldn't. You can't. You could not run a a business with this. I think that's probably one of the reasons that Google has the limit is they don't want people selling promo codes outside of the Play Store.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, actually, that does make a lot of sense.
You found the issue.
Can't make a secondary market for the games.
Brian wins this week's game of Find the Issue with the Google feature.
Yeah, it's a very hard game to win.
Unless the feature is Hangouts, and then it's an easy game.
Nobody wins.
Then it's then you play it the other way. You play who can find the not broken part.
Alright, so next on the docket, we've got a price drop on the 5X. So the Play Store listing for the 5X dropped.
Matt, you've gone robotic once again.
So much
Good
robotic.
God. The thing that's messed up.
Robot.
The thing that's messed up is that was a different microphone entirely.
Well, it's mine now, so that's good.
I'm back to the first one. I'm back to the first microphone. So two microphones, same issue. One is internal, one is external. This computer, I think, is just a piece of shit.
Yeah, or it's cursed.
Could be cursed.
Yep. Cursed by Hangouts.
Cursed by Hangouts. All right, so yeah, Nexus 5 price, Nexus 5X price drop. $379 to $349 or $429 to $399, depending on whether you want the 16 or 32 gig version. So, yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot to read into this. This doesn't mean it's not selling right or anything like that, because they've done this with all their previous models, right?
Sorry, what? I was actually distracted for a moment, so I realized the price has gone down. What was the question?
Well, no. So what I was asking was they've done this with previous models too. So there's not any reason to think that sales are low or anything like that. I mean,
have they done this at least as quick?
I don't know if they've done it this quick.
I feel like there was a promotion for the Nexus 6 last year, not that long after it launched. But that was a $600 $650 phone. So
$650 phone, and also promotion and price drops, not the same thing.
yeah, this is like a permanent reduction.
Yep. Certainly looks that way.
I mean, I think everybody kind of thought that the 5X was a little bit expensive for what it was, just because like you would get the 32 gig version because I mean 16 is not really enough, and then you're like $60 or $70 away from the cost of a 6P. So it seemed a little, I don't know, it just, they didn't seem positioned very well. So I mean this price makes more sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we could say anything that lowers the price of the Nexus 5X makes more sense.
Yeah, but you know, it is still. I mean, it's a fine phone. It was not like super expensive at the old price. I think it's just that the 6P is just priced really competitively for what it is.
Yeah, and I'm surprised they didn't bring it back down to the promo price of, what was it down to? $320?
Was it? Was it that low?
It was lower than this. Or it was $330. That's what it was. It was $50 off.
Hmm.
So it was $330 and $379, right? Or no, $349. I don't recall now. I'm gonna look it up. It was $329. Yes. So $329 was the price they lowered it to, and then thus it was $379 for the 32 gigabyte version. Which that sale went on for a long time, went on for a couple weeks.
Yeah, that was. I mean, for a while, I think we thought they might just leave it there.
Yep, but they didn't. But I predicted that they would bring it back down after the new year, but I thought they would bring it all the way back down to where they had it before. Guess not.
Yes.
I wonder how many they've actually sold. The 6P is so price competitive that it's got to be pushing the 5X way to the margin.
Yeah. Well, and you have to kind of think to some extent that by releasing two phones at the same time that they've, you know, kind of divided their customers up a little bit. I don't know that, because you know, obviously, you know, we have a little bit of a skewed market because, you know, people who listen to the show and read the site tend to like Nexuses a lot, but you know, from a market standpoint, the Nexuses aren't amazing sellers like Samsung devices or anything like that. So when you've got a market that's somewhat limited to the people who are going to buy this kind of phone, and then you release two phones for them to choose from, I think that, you know, just naturally, neither one of those two phones is going to sell as good as a single would if it was just released on its own.
But I will
have. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I will say, based on Android Police's site metrics, I won't give specific numbers, but the Nexus 6P kicks the Nexus 5X's ass for representation on our site. It's not even close.
People have been asking for a smaller Nexus phone very frequently for the last 2 years, especially, you know, when they announced the Nexus 6, it was gigantic. I guess, I mean, at least Google did that. They didn't make it like the high-end option, but I mean, I like that there are multiple Nexus phones. I think that's better than just having a one-size-fits-all approach and then having half of the people bitch about how they don't like one thing or another and then buy it anyway.
To be fair, though, isn't the 6P a fair amount smaller than the Nexus 6 anyways? So they released two phones that were smaller.
I mean,
that's true.
It is smaller. Not as much as you would think. Like, it's a really tall phone.
But it's narrower, and narrower is easier to hold.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah, it is pretty tall. It's actually, well, it's actually taller than the Nexus 6 by just a hair. Putting them next to each other. Unless my Nexus 6 is freakishly short. But it is definitely narrower than the Nexus 6 by at least a few millimeters. So
I'm trying to dig out my phones.
But yeah, I mean, if we want to go, so there are, let's just use some numbers here. There are 3 times as many Nexus 6Ps browsing Android Police as there are Nexus 5Xs. So it's
that sounds about right.
Yeah, the Nexus 5X is less popular, is about as half as popular as the Nexus 6 is on Android Police, and less than half as popular as the old Nexus 5.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was primarily just a small phone thing. Like people who wanted a smaller Nexus phone would get that. Otherwise, there's no reason you wouldn't just get the 6P. But now that the price is, more different, I could see people going with the 5X.
Yeah,
But
maybe.
is $30 that big of a difference for that impact?
I think it's a psychological barrier. Like people see like, oh, I could just spend another like $50 and get a better phone. Now it's like,
I think there's a I would agree with the 32 gig, dropping it from $429 to $399 because you changed that first digit. But I don't know, I don't know if dropping from $379 to $349 really. I mean, I guess it gets it under 50, but I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's, I agree. It's most of them do say that 32 gigabytes $100 difference between that and 6P.
What did the Nexus 5 launch at? Was it $350, $399?
No, it's $349 for the 16 gigabyte.
$349.
Is that
Yep.
wait? What did I say? That's what I meant to say.
You said $399 and $349. So
Okay.
both.
Okay. Well, whatever. Well, but there were two different. Wait, there were 16 and 32 gig versions of that, right?
Yeah, so
Five.
the 16 was
These are
$349.
Yes, these are the very similar price points.
Yep. So they are back in line with the original pricing of the Nexus 5, which I'm sure that was kind of their logic, if there is any logic to this to begin with.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess I can buy that. That works for me. All right. So the Moto 360 Sport also made its debut on the Google Store, not the Play Store, the Google Store. Keep that in mind. You can't buy devices from the Play Store anymore because that didn't make any sense. So it's there now. It's $299.99. Ryan, do you have one of those yet?
No. They were supposed to send out review units and then they never did, which makes me think that maybe it's kind of bad.
Oh, I saw one at CES.
One.
I touched it, and it was there. It was a Moto 360 Sport. Now they have like 5 of them in all the different band colors, and I was like, are the bands removable? And they're like, no. And that was the end of the conversation.
I don't know what the deal is with this. It took them forever to release it, and I mean, maybe they had some sort of like issue with this screen. Like that's really the only different.
Okay, so
thing.
let me get this straight. They will sell you a $300 watch that is bright ass orange.
Yes, yes, they will.
And you can't change the band on it.
Apparently, yeah.
Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I can understand somebody choosing to buy a bright orange watch, but the thought that you could just wear a bright orange watch every day and it just be your go-to everyday watch just seems a little off to me.
Well, you clearly have not met the average Casio G-Shock fan.
Clearly, I have not. Also, I'm not. You might find this surprising. I'm not exactly a slave to fashion.
No.
No, I'm not.
Matt, I thought that was your formal Cavs jersey.
It is my formal Cavs jersey. It's the dress blues. So definitely.
Yeah. I don't think. I think the lack of coverage of this device is pretty telling. And even though, and like, it's even been out in the UK for several weeks, and like nobody's talking about it. So I guess whatever.
Yeah. So as a side note, my brother was going to go buy one, and ended up buying the Gear S2 instead. If that tells you anything.
Interesting choice.
Yeah.
Yep. So, I believe it is time for a word from our sponsor.
Maybe.
Sorry, I had to. We're doing this jankily for the live show. I'm going to put it in properly in post when I edit it. I still am not hitting the right buttons. Have you ever wondered who hosts AndroidPolice.com? No? Well, I'm about to tell you anyways because of this week's podcast sponsor, Linode. And Android Police has been hosted on Linode for over 5 years now, and we've been very happy with them. And that really is a big part of why they're this week's podcast sponsor, because we can recommend them wholeheartedly. For being a listener to the Android Police podcast, you can get a $20 Linode service credit. If you go to linode.com/Android Police, that is L-I-N as in no, O-D as in dog, E.com/Android Police. And that $20 credit isn't a credit you can't use. That gets you 2 months of service on Linode's base tier, which costs $10 a month. Everything's billed hourly, but if you price it out per month, it's $10 per month for that basic tier. And that gets you a gigabyte of RAM, a CPU core, 24 gigs of SSD storage, 2 terabytes of transfer capacity, 40 gigabits per second in connection on the network, and 125 megabits per second out, all for just $10 a month. Linode offers a variety of plans that scale all the way from 1 gigabyte of RAM and 1 CPU core to 96 gigabytes of RAM and 20 CPU cores. So they have something there for everybody, depending on your server needs. Linode has state-of-the-art servers. They've recently switched from Xen to KVM virtualization, which provided Unix benchmark increases of over 300% for virtual server performance. So they are fast. And that native SSD storage, coupled with a 40 gigabit network and processors, which are the new Intel E5 Xeon processors, which are very fast, offer you cutting-edge servers for not really all that high of a price. You get 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week support, even on holidays. There's a 7-day money-back guarantee for any service, and you can get a server running in under a minute. There are add-on services available for backups, node balancers, and Longview. Everything there to really meet your needs for a server. And like I said, if you head to linode.com/Android Police and sign up today, you'll get that $20 credit. You can check out what Linode's all about. I mean, they host Android Police and we like them. So what have we got to lose?
I think the "we like them" probably says as much as the whole rest, because David doesn't like anything.
Yeah, he's using the royal we.
Pretty good.
All right, so hey guys, Mobile World Congress is coming up next month. Just a little over a month and a week away. And as is usually the case, the stories start to come in about what's going to be announced and who's going to be there and what they're going to be bringing to the table. And so the first leak, or the first, not leak, it's not a leak, it's an announcement. There's an invite. So LG is probably going to be releasing announcing the G5 at Mobile World Congress. So we've heard a little bit about it. The Magic Slot. I just can't wait to see what a Magic Slot is.
I'm very excited to see what the Magic Slot is.
You know what? The invite says "Play begins" and it has a Jack-in-the-Box, which a lot of times I feel like these invites are like secret puns or something about the product that's coming up.
Could we speculate?
But honestly, in LG's case, I feel like it might just be the case that their event is like Jack-in-the-Box themed, or like there's a Jack-in-the-Box. but that has nothing to actually do with the phone.
Yeah, the CEO is going to pop out of a giant Jack-in-the-Box on stage.
Maybe that's all the Magic Slot does, is it's just a slot that a jack pops out of every now and then.
No. It's going to be, they're going to have a motorized conveyor belt that brings out a pedestal on which sits a Jack-in-the-Box, and the presenter will go up to the Jack-in-the-Box and rotate the handle, and then the G5 will pop out.
Yes.
I can actually see that happening. That sounds just the right kind of ridiculous for LG.
But it's funny, LG's press conferences usually don't have that kind of gimmickry. They're very to the point, usually.
You know what I think would be even better is if a little kid named Jeremy shows up with a Jack-in-the-Box and he carries it in, and then they open it.
And it's like glowing on the inside.
Okay.
I mean, the V10 event was had bags of gummy bears and popcorn and stuff, so I don't know.
Oh, so everything's playful with LG now. That's LG's calling card. We're so fun.
Had I not seen the Jack-in-the-Box, I would say maybe the phone is shaped like a play button or something. something ridiculous.
Yeah, LG.
Maybe it's just going to be a phone.
With us.
Maybe it's just going to be a phone that's full of surprises.
That would, if it's called the Magic Slot, yeah, I could see that. Surprises, many surprises.
Magic is often surprising.
Magic is often surprising.
The Magic Slot will support Jack-in-the-Boxes.
But only LG branded Jack-in-the-Boxes. It'll have Magic Slot DRM.
Yeah, I am really curious to see how they end up doing this. So what we know about the G5 so far is it should probably have Snapdragon 820 processor, probably 3 GB of RAM, 32 gigs of storage, and a smaller screen than G4, but it will have a secondary screen like the V10.
Yes, that is what we've heard. Although I think it's supposed to go all the way across the top of the phone instead of being like shifted to one side like it is on the V10.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. And the timing makes sense because the general inclination is that the S7 will be announced before MWC, and then maybe the first hands-on reveal will be at MWC. But the actual phone will come out before that because Samsung likes all the attention to itself.
Yeah, there have been a couple of rumors more recently that the G5 is going to have sort of like a metal aluminum sort of thing going on, like a lot of other phones have, but that would be at odds with LG's insistence that they keep removable batteries. So there has been some speculation that they have some sort of like removable bit of the casing that you'll be able to still slide the battery out of, but that sounds overly complicated.
I would be surprised if they go with an all-metal body for the G5. I will just say that. I cannot say more on the topic.
Wait, you will be surprised or won't?
I will be surprised.
Okay.
I want to say HTC had aluminum phones that had removable batteries at one point.
They did. They basically had exactly the thing I just described, where there was just like a section of the case that popped off and the battery would slide out.
I want it to be like a pen case where there's like a little piece that goes over the front and curves a little bit.
I want it to be just like the like the SD card slots where you just push the battery in and it clicks in, and then you push it again to pop it out.
Yeah, but don't put the battery in upside down in the Samsung version because then the battery will become lodged in there permanently.
The great thing would be is when you drop your phone, the battery would just fly out.
I'm very sad that Nano Sims can't do the push design thing. That was always that I always really liked that.
That would be nice.
I have to do the trays.
Because I hate sim trays. Sim trays are the devil.
They are, except for Motorola's, which are really good. Everybody else sucks.
Oh my god, you guys. What if the magic slot... Do you remember in the 90s when there were those CD slots that would like take the CD from you when you put it in? What if it's like
a slot load?
I would be amazed if LG put a little tiny electric motor in there that sucks in peripherals.
It has to be the battery. Like you get the phone and you're like, okay, it's like, okay, feed in the battery first. You feed in the battery. Like, okay, now feed in your SD card. You just like stick it in the slot and it like sucks it in.
Exactly.
Now add your peripherals.
I would love that actually.
There's a RoboCop joke here somewhere.
Yeah, a really inappropriate one that we should definitely save for the review.
The sounds of the 1990s. So, before we move on to this AT&T news that is boring as hell, there have been some rumors about the Galaxy S7 going around that I think we're discussing in terms of, so EV Leaks dropped an image that showed 3 phone names. S7, S7 Edge, and S7 Edge Plus. So I'm wondering if Samsung is actually going to reveal 3 phones, or if there will be like certain ones for certain markets. Because I feel like, because I see S6 Edge Pluses a lot where I live at least. I see a lot of S6 Edges. I don't see many regular S6s. I would not be surprised if they do like an S7 in the US and an S7 Edge Plus, but not the regular S7 Edge, maybe? Is a price differentiation kind of thing?
I would be surprised if they bothered with an Edge version of the smaller phone.
At least in America. I could see it in other markets, maybe.
Maybe like where cost is an issue.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what they do there. I bet it could be highly carrier dependent.
I've seen like a huge number of Edge Pluses, like way more than I would have ever expected for what seemed at first like kind of a weird phone. But yeah. people are super into them, and then they buy a god awful case that like covers up the entire side of the phone. But whatever, they buy a lot, which is all Samsung really cares about.
I've seen them here in New York too, and also just to be clear, are we really questioning whether Samsung will come out with too many different phones?
Fair point.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if carriers will decide that it is appropriate to then come out with too many different phones. Samsung really is too many chefs of phones. That's like their calling card. If Samsung did a parody skit of Too Many Chefs, but with phones, I would have a deep respect for them. But they never will, because Samsung has the sense of humor of, I don't know, somebody who's not appropriate to name on its technology podcast.
David, are you saying you do not like the tone of the North American advertising strategy?
I think Samsung corporate decided they didn't like the tone of the North American advertising strategy of Samsung Telecommunications America. Didn't the guy running it, he left under immediate circumstances.
Immediate circumstances.
I don't know.
I think he did. Yeah, he left. He was the guy that was responsible for the the Apple Sheep ads and the Naughty Santa, among other Samsung classics.
I feel like we should have a greatest hits album for terrible Samsung commercials.
Yeah, which would be all of them.
All of them.
Oh, Samsung. So Samsung probably will unveil the phone, I'm guessing middle of next month, before MWC.
When's it gonna be out though? Probably like
I would guess.
another month.
would guess within weeks of announcement.
Well, but like here, probably not.
Oh, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if it's very shortly after. Samsung apparently wants to step up the launch time frame on the S7 substantially.
I mean, that would be like substantially less than a year since the S6 came out.
There were also rumors that they will have an exclusive on retailed Snapdragon 820 for a not insignificant amount of time. So that would line up with them launching the phone shortly after announcement, while other partners may have to wait a month or so before their 820 phones hit the market, like the LG G5. But I guess we'll see what happens. Also, it's not even clear if the S7 will have a Snapdragon 820 in every market. It may have an Exynos. Exynos.
I imagine, yeah, there will probably be an Asian version that's Exynos. That's what they've done.
Or Europe, too. And,
do some people say Exynos?
Yeah, I've never heard that before. Not that I hear Exynos pronounced
I've
often,
heard Exynos before, yes. And
I don't think we've mispronounced anything up until this point, so we have to get our quota.
Who was saying Exynos? Because I feel like that person might have had a stroke. And you should have rendered medical attention.
They may have had a stroke, or they may have been vaguely European. I'm not sure.
I mean, and really, is there a difference?
I'm just thinking of like.
That would fit in perfectly with
well,
the
Ryan,
New Zealand accent.
there go all three of our European listeners.
I'm just thinking of how to justify a long E at the beginning of that word.
Yeah, I don't know either, but I have heard it pronounced that way, definitely. And it's just like GIF. It bewilders me every time. So,
but in all seriousness, people with New Zealand accents say instead of expect.
Robots.
robots.
I heard what you said, but it sounded robot-y. So.
Well,
somebody should send Robot Matt Smith a new computer.
But yes, I feel like in non-American English, sometimes vowels are different.
Yeah. Yes. Is my robot?
That's better.
Yes.
Better?
Yes.
Sorry, just wanted to make my vowels different.
Yeah. Now it's more like Nobot.
I see what you've done there.
Yes. Okay. So shall we talk about Motorola and how they're dumb and everybody hates them now?
AT&T. We have to talk about how AT&T is dumb first.
Okay, fine. I guess.
AT&T gets to be dumb first. Yes. So so they have unlimited data plans that require you to have DirecTV or Uverse.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it.
That's why it's dumb. It should be dumb on its face to anybody who knows what any of those things are.
Yeah. Yep.
So just to be clear, AT&T Uverse broadband, unless you are in one of like their 1 gigabit markets, offers a high-speed connection up to 24 megabits down and 3 megabits up. I should know because I lived in one for several years, and it was terrible.
They have a cap too, don't they?
Yeah, no, they don't. It's unlimited. It's all you can stand. And if you have DirecTV, obviously you can get this plan. So the unlimited data plan, it's not really an unlimited data plan. It is unlimited data, but I believe it still has the 22 gigabyte cap, right? Where after 22 gigabytes,
it has the throttle. A soft cap,
AT&T places the don't call it throttling brakes on your unlimited data. So it's unlimited to the extent that you can download as much data as you want on Edge after you've used 22 gigabytes of it, which is to say, not much. So it's not worth it in any way, shape, or form, and it's $100 per device to have this unlimited plan.
You could just
Yeah.
like have an extra T-Mobile line with unlimited data, rather than like pay for another service just to pay them more money for unlimited data.
Yeah, it is completely ludicrous and dumb. I mean, I pay AT&T the equivalent of $72 a month, I think, for 6 gigabytes of data. So, I mean, it's a better deal for $100 for 22, but not that much. So, yeah, that's that. AT&T things probably don't concern you.
Yeah. See, the only reason is if you have DirecTV, like if you were going to have DirecTV either way. Maybe.
Yeah, and even
Maybe.
then, you probably wouldn't want it because you don't. Who wants to pay $100 a month on their cell phone bill? It's not many people, and that obviously doesn't include any device payment plans or anything like that.
Right. So yeah. So I guess let's move on to the dumb things Moto's doing, or Lenovo's doing.
Yeah, it's much less dumb, I think, than it seemed when we first posted, because a Lenovo executive apparently told people that the Moto G and Moto E were going to go away, and all their phones going forward would have 5-inch or larger screens, and people flipped out mostly about the Moto G because that's a really popular phone, and it seemed nonsensical that they would get rid of it. And then later Motorola said, oh no, we didn't really mean that. We're not getting rid of the Moto G, which really just makes me think Lenovo needs to like stop talking. Just stop saying words. Because this is like the second or third time in the last couple weeks that a Lenovo person has said something dumb that people said, hey, that's a bad idea. And then they had to come back, like they or Motorola had to be like, oh, no, that's not true. So,
Lenovo is that nun in Spain who tried to repaint the Jesus picture. That's what Lenovo is right now. Like dead on. It's just, wait, no, we can fix it. Let's just make it worse.
yeah. So yeah, it feels like Lenovo does not understand what they have with Motorola. Like people that are into Android really like Motorola, and even though Motorola's sales have been kind of mediocre, it's not that Motorola itself doesn't have the tools to be a profitable entity for Lenovo. It's that they just didn't have the right advertising or marketing position, and just changing what Motorola does is not going to instantly make it popular. So all of these ideas about like, oh, they're gonna get rid of devices and everything like that's not gonna fix Motorola.
Yeah, I think that Lenovo is meddling too much in terms of the brand message. That should all be invisible. It should just happen behind the scenes. It shouldn't. This kind of stuff doesn't matter to the consumers, and the fact that they're dicking with it at all is just not a good sign. I think you've got people at Lenovo who want to assert control in public and visible ways, and not in material ways that actually affect the product substantially, and that's probably not a very good sign.
And people don't want to be reminded that Lenovo owns Motorola now.
Yeah, nobody in America is going to feel better if there's an obvious association with Motorola and Lenovo. I mean, Motorola is historically an American company, and American people tend to like American things. It's sort of a thing. So reminding them that a Chinese company owns this American company is basically, I wouldn't say it's taunting consumers, but it's making it less palatable to them.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that, I mean, Motorola does a lot of good things, and I mean, they have for the last few years really shown that they understand how to make good devices, and Lenovo cannot improve that because Lenovo does not make good devices.
At least, I mean, they don't make good devices in the sense that they don't make ones that westernize well.
Yes,
I mean,
they don't make good like devices for American consumers. I'm sure they're very popular in some markets.
They are.
They're a very big phone maker, but like obviously they didn't buy Motorola to like sell more Chinese sorts of phones in the U.S. They bought Motorola because Motorola, makes phones that are palatable to a Western audience.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not liking any of what's happening with Motorola since Lenovo's taken over. None of it seems, but we haven't seen products come from it yet, so it's hard to really say.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's going to bring us to emails. What would you say, David?
It could bring us to emails, or I could talk about the Honor 5X because I'll be publishing the review tomorrow.
Oh, all right.
So we could do that since we are a little short on news this week. So the Honor 5X, which I have been using since I got it at CES last week. That was last week, right? Yeah, that sounds right.
Yep.
Is $199, and that is most of the reason for it to exist. So it has a Snapdragon 615 processor, I believe 2 gigabytes of RAM, 16 gigs of storage, of which they say 10.5 gigabytes are available to you, but really after you install like Google Apps and stuff, it's more like 8 gigabytes, and everything's updated and has some cache built into it. So, and then once you get all, maybe the few apps you use installed, it's probably closer to like 7 gigabytes. So it's not a ton of space, not a tiny amount of space as far as 16 gigabyte phones are concerned. Has a 13 megapixel camera, which is sometimes pretty good and sometimes not, which at this price point I guess is to be expected. When it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's like, oh no. I've had some weird overexposure issues, especially if direct sunlight even tries to like touch into the frame of the image, it's like the camera panics, and you get like these weird blowouts that happen. That may be to do with the lens too, I'm not sure. The screen is a 1080p IPS that gets stupid dumb bright, which is probably good because I don't believe it's an in-cell touchscreen. The screen seems to sit lower than the panel, so you get more panel reflectance, and then there doesn't seem to be a very good oleophobic coating on the screen itself, so fingerprints build up pretty rapidly on it. So you want that brightness to be able to see the screen unless you want to be cleaning it constantly or always using it indoors. But when you are indoors and the screen is bright, it is very bright. It does have, basically at max brightness, black is gray. So that's, to be expected, I suppose. But most people probably just want the better brightness to begin with. Speed-wise, yeah, it's like pretty much any other Snapdragon 615 phone. Feels fast for like the first few days you use it, and then slowly turns into kind of a mess. But again, for the price point, it's to be expected. It's certainly going to be better than the Snapdragon 410 phone, but it's going to be slower than anything with an 800 series Snapdragon chip for sure. In the US LTE bands, you've got everything you need for AT&T. You don't have band 12 for T-Mobile, which was really weird to me because in the presentation for the 5X, they listed band 12 at CES, and then when I asked them, they're like, oh no, it doesn't actually have band 12, it's disabled.
Oh, so the hardware supports it, but it's another like, hey, T-Mobile asked us not to do this.
Exactly.
That is
so, and it doesn't sound like they have any plan to add it because the 5X doesn't even do, they don't even advertise VoLTE as a feature, so they don't want to put it in there. Again, for the price, though, it's hard to argue with a lot of what goes on with it. The performance is something that you're going to have to deal with on any budget phone. No budget phone at this price is going to be better, except perhaps apart from the Intel Zenfone 2, which is very fast but has dumb amounts of bloatware. The Huawei Honor 5X has 2 pieces of third-party bloatware installed: Facetune Lite and what's the other one? Shazam. They can both be uninstalled completely. So once they're gone, which is really good. So you don't have to worry about that. Whether or not more bloat will come in later system updates, I did not get a commitment on that point. So we'll see. But hopefully not. What else about it? The speakers are loud, but they sound pretty terrible. So the camera's okay. It has a fingerprint scanner, which at this price point is pretty much unheard of. And it works. It's even slower than maybe a Nexus 6Ps, and it's definitely way slower than the Mate 8s. But it works, and I mean, that's good. It doesn't have the Nexus Imprint Learning stuff in it because it's on Android 5.1, which brings me probably to this phone's biggest downfall. Android 5.1 with EMUI 3.1. EMUI is something you have to learn to tolerate, to be kind. I would rather have TouchWiz on this phone than EMUI by far. I would take TouchWiz every single day of the week over EMUI in every single respect. It's not even close. So I think Huawei really should consider shipping or at least offering a stripped-down ROM that emulates stock Android more closely, which I hope is something they're receptive to in later devices. At the very least, publishing a ROM that does not have the theming stuff enabled. There's also a lot of stuff going on in terms of power management on Huawei devices that they don't get super detailed on. I've noticed it takes a really long time to get notifications sometimes on this phone, like weirdly so. I had a Google Plus notification that my iPad got, and then the Honor 5X got 5 minutes later, and they were both on Wi-Fi. So some interesting things happening there. And there's a lot of weird stuff Huawei does by default with apps in terms of their permissions that you should be on the lookout for, and I cover in my full review without getting too nitty-gritty here. Overall, though, for $200, it gets good battery life. The screen is reasonably good. It gets very bright. You've got 1080p resolution. The camera can produce surprisingly good images under the right conditions. The LTE connectivity is good if you're on AT&T. It's good if you're on T-Mobile and don't need band 12. And the metal body is reasonably nice. It's definitely probably nicer than anything else for $200. I can say that much. So overall, I'm pretty impressed with this phone. Drawbacks are going to be a part of any phone at this price point, and so that's why I've pointed out a lot of them. But for $200, there are many more phones that have many more sacrifices, more important ones than you'd make with the Honor 5X.
All right then. So, are we gonna have that in carriers here? Is that gonna be something available?
Well, it's $200. So
it's unlocked. You can just buy it on Amazon.
Right.
Yeah.
Amazon. Yeah.
And
Which
if
I don't
you
know
pre-order, you can get like a free set of earbuds or something.
I don't know that you're ever gonna get like a really solid market penetration without getting any carrier stores in the U.S. I don't know. I don't think we're there yet.
Well, unlocked phone sales are way up year over year in the U.S., so it's a thing. And this is basically because Huawei tried earlier or last year to do the Ascend P8 Lite unlocked, which their MSRP on that was $250 for a phone that was appreciably worse in every respect than this phone. So this is a better phone in every way, pretty much, that matters for substantially less money. So the 5X, I think, if any, nobody's going to make hardware on paper as good a case as this phone makes for $200. I think Huawei is honestly willing to lose money to win consumer confidence in America with this phone, and I think that really is their strategy.
All right. Well, hopefully they market it somehow, right?
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, $200 may market itself if all goes according to plan.
You still got to know it costs $200.
That's true.
All right, so let's move on to emails. Our first email is from Craig. Just wondering if you guys...
Roboting.
Oh, you son of a...
Robot Matt Smith is back.
And Robot Matt Smith is gone?
He is. He's left the building.
Okay. So an email from Craig. Just wondering if any of you guys have a Nexus 6P or Marshmallow device are experiencing horrible Bluetooth connection issues with Android Wear. If I'm more than 5 feet away from my 6P with my ZenWatch 2, I am immediately disconnected. If the phone sits untouched for more than 15 to 20 minutes, disconnected. Sometimes it reconnects in a few seconds, sometimes 5 minutes, and a lot of the time I have to manually toggle Bluetooth. Anyways, after some extensive online research, I see it's a very popular issue, not only with Android Wear watches, but Pebble owners and car stereos as well. Although it is a popular issue, there doesn't seem to be any solution or root cause. I've tried everything and nothing is working. Actually thinking about rolling back to 6.0, although probably a waste of time. Contacted Huawei and blamed it on the 6P running Marshmallow and the Android Wear still running Lollipop, which doesn't really seem plausible to me, but I would really like to hear your professional take on the issue, as my watch is just about useless paired with the 6P, and it worked fine with my LG G3. Look forward to your response.
Android 6.0 plus Bluetooth equals problems so far is kind of what I've garnered from a lot of people complaining on the Google product forums.
I actually have not had this issue yet, but I'm
I
scared.
haven't either.
Yeah, mine has
So,
been okay.
yeah, I know the car thing is probably a separate issue, and they supposedly they fixed some of the car stuff in 6.0.1. Because a lot of people, oddly, a lot of people with Mazdas were having very strange issues with like call dropping, but other makes were having issues as well. But Mazda seemed to be the most affected. So on the car side, I would separate those out from issues with Android Wear. Android Wear, hard to say. Android Wear can be really, really, really finicky.
Yeah, sometimes that app just does weird stuff no matter what phone you're using it on. It doesn't seem to have any relation to anything.
Yeah, it's and ZenWatch 2. I mean, I don't want to bash Asus, but you
I mean,
know,
I can bash that watch. Just read my review again.
okay,
It was
yeah, I
it was
would not
not a good.
take a lot of confidence in anything Asus makes.
It's not good. It's just not a good watch. It's cheap. That's. I wouldn't be surprised if there was just something wrong with the watch.
Yeah, maybe have like a dodgy antenna in the watch. But he said it worked fine with his G3.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I'm hesitant to blame anything in particular. My first instinct with anything Bluetooth problem related is blame Android 6.0. But I don't know that for certain, especially when it comes to like interfacing with specific devices. Bluetooth is arcane. It is difficult. So yeah, we don't have a good answer.
Yeah, I guess yeah. And none of us have experienced this directly, so I guess
Good
we
luck.
can't really be of much help.
Yeah, I've paired my Nexus 6P with my car, and I've not had any problems at all. It works fine, apart from the Bluetooth radio not having great range if you put your hand over the bottom of the phone. That's
Yeah,
pretty much it.
I have Android Auto in my car, and every time you plug it in, it connects to the head unit, and it has never screwed that up. So I mean, I guess Bluetooth is working fine for me in that respect, and my Android Wear watches don't disconnect weirdly often. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but there do seem to be a lot of complaints about Android 6.0 and Bluetooth generally, and it's hard to say which ones are related, if any.
All right, so our next email is from Chris. He says, so a lot of the reviews of the Moto 360 Sport are complaining about it only being a running watch. As I read the reviews, it seems that the reasoning for this is based on the apps Motorola Lenovo has written or bundled for the watch. Since my expectation is that vendor software is usually only a jumping off point at best, and apps like Runkeeper have been supporting biking, etc. for a while, why would they make that type of a statement? Isn't whether it's useful or something other than a running watch based on the hardware inside? I figure that the GPS and heart rate monitor, even a Bluetooth one, will give you most of what you get from the priciest sport watches.
So, to what extent does Android Wear support GPS? What apps can utilize GPS with Wear? Anything that has a Wear app and tracks running or biking or whatever?
Yeah, I think so. GPS is a supported feature now.
Okay. So, like, if you got out Runkeeper or something, and it would.
Yeah, any watch that has a GPS antenna, which is not many of them, should be able to operate.
Yeah, because they're probably using the fuse location provider either way. So it's just reporting whatever's the most accurate location available based on if it requires high power, medium power, or low power. So, yeah, I mean, I would guess that if you're reading reviews about the Moto 360 Sport that complain that it only focuses on running, you're reading them from websites that don't write a lot about smartwatches. Because pretty much every Android Wear watch is the same in terms of its fitness capabilities, unless it has GPS and heart rate monitor, the only differentiators there.
I mean, the physical design of this one is different. Like, I feel like it's obviously designed with the intention of being used outdoors, but I mean, that's not to say it doesn't still work if you're not out for a run. I mean, I guess like the band situation is kind of unusual. Like,
I think
it's just
that
silicone, not a
I think
thing.
maybe saying there aren't preloaded apps that do stuff other than running, which
I mean, like some watches come with like no preloaded apps though, or like they have like one or two things.
Yeah, I think that, okay, so my guess would be that a lot of mainstream technology websites, when they see a, quote, sports smartwatch, what they're looking for is something that tries to compete with, like Fitbit in terms of providing an ecosystem of tracking and analytics tools, which is so not Android Wear on any watch. Nobody's doing that. Nobody's approaching that serious level of providing services. Nobody is charging a subscription fee as far as Android Wear OEM watches are concerned to track your fitness statistics. That just doesn't exist. So I think that's probably the root of those complaints, is basically that there's no Motorola sport ecosystem for tracking stats and stuff, at least not a strong one behind the watch. But I think that comparing a sporty smartwatch to a fitness tracker it's apples to oranges. They aren't the same product. So yeah, I think that's probably where a lot of those comments do stem from.
Well, there you have it. And of course, we don't have our own review unit here, so as we mentioned earlier in the show, that's really all we got to go on. So hopefully that helps, Chris. Meanwhile, anybody out there, if you have any questions,
pick up the phone.
Sorry, I just started up another phone, and apparently it has a lot of notifications pending.
Yeah,
they were
all
very
right, so,
pretty sounding notifications.
Actually, you know what? Before I rolled the outro, I would like to mention, we had a listener who emailed in a question in an audio file last week, and apparently we gave him the impression that wasn't cool. I actually thought it's fine. So if you want to send,
it sounds better.
Yeah, it's much better than me reading in monotone. So yeah, if you guys want to do that, absolutely do it. It's a good way to get your voice heard on the show. Also, get your question asked in the exact way you wanted it, with the intention delivered properly. So feel free to email us at podcast@androidpolice.com. Email SoundPods. It's great. Do it. What's that?
If we have any songwriters out there, you should send us an MP3.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. Also, we're still accepting antique submissions, so feel free to do that too.
So yeah, podcast@androidpolice.com. You can also call us at 530-HELLO-AP. That is 530-435-5627. Twitter @AndroidPolice, and on Google Plus and Facebook.
And once again, this week's Android Police podcast was brought to you by Linode. And if you want a $20 Linode service credit to host your website or other web service, head to linode.com/AndroidPolice.
Yay!
All right then.
Well, that's the show.
And that's the show.
That's the show.
That's the show.
That's how it shows.
That's
how we
the show.
Do the show we do.
You know what's weird? Oh wait, it's working now. That's so strange. When I was exporting files in Audacity on my new Dell laptop, it was the most nerve-wracking thing. So Audacity gives you like an estimated export time, and on the laptop, the line would never move, but the estimated time would just grow exponentially, like it would never export. So when I was trying to edit the last week's show, I edited on my laptop because I wanted to sit downstairs, and I went to export it, and it went from like 2 minutes to 8 minutes to 32 minutes to 3 hours to 7 hours. And I'm like, oh no, something is terribly, terribly broken. And it turns out it's just a display bug, and if you just wait long enough, it'll take as long as it normally takes to export the file. It's very nerve-wracking for me. I was very anxious about it.
That sounds upsetting.
Yes, it was. It was very upsetting because progress bars are basically gospel in computing. So,
Wait, are they?
They are a gospel that I believe only in the sense that if they aren't moving, something is very wrong.
Okay. Do you ever line up your mouse cursor on like where it is to see if it actually moves? I do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because doesn't OS X do that thing where it looks like it's moving in terms of like there's a weird pixel shift at the end, but then it goes back again. So that's really annoying. I noticed that when I had a MacBook Pro, and I was like, Apple, you lie.
You should have just gotten a MacBook Pro this time, I'm telling you.
I like my XPS 13 now that it is not waking itself up, and now that the trackpad works.
This sounds like Stockholm Syndrome.
Hey, my 13.3-inch laptop has the footprint of a 12.1-inch laptop.
I don't know what that means, but what I do know is that you should just get a MacBook.
I actually do like it so far. The screen
Oh.
does not get as bright as I want. That is my one major complaint.
But you know, if you want a really small footprint, David, you should just go for the Pixel C, which is an all-around great device.
Well, I think if I had a Pixel C, I would have a hard time not beating myself concussively with it. So
Because you just can't handle how great it is, I know, right? It's fantastic. I love it. I use it every single day.
Is that just because it happens to be the tablet?
I use it every single day, all
Right.
day, which is roughly how long it takes for me to do anything with the Pixel C all day. So last night I was mixing myself a drink, and I was going to put some. I was making myself an old fashioned. I was going to put some grenadine in it, and the grenadine bottle, which was a 1 liter bottle of grenadine, mind you, the cap does not twist on, and so I grabbed it by the top, and grenadine went everywhere.
Was it on
I
a white
spent-
carpet?
I was going to say, I'm really hoping it wasn't on carpet because there's no getting rid of
Oh
it.
yeah, it would be awful if it was. I have laminate floors, thankfully.
But the thing is, if you spill it on white carpet, then you can just say it's a creative choice, and you design the room that way.
It took me about 2.5 hours today to get it off all of the walls and various kitchen appliances. It splattered onto. It was a good day.
Yeah, that sounds like a good use of your time.
Yeah, between that and reviewing the Honor 5X, that was my day. So I got to review a slow, cheap-ass phone and clean red sticky sugar off the walls.
Here's what I need to know, though. Did the proper amount splash into your old-fashioned?
There's still plenty left. Thankfully, the entire bottle did not disgorge itself, although it took me 4 passes on my hands and knees with a nylon brush to make the floor not feel sticky.
Just get a new floor at that point.
Yeah, it was good times. All right, I'm gonna head out then.
Yes, I shall as well. See you guys.